Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Soccer Queens podcast. We are back with another repeat guest. Super excited. And we're going to get into mental skills training and niche it down to how to handle and navigate performance anxiety. So before we dive right in, I have Breanne Smedley here, and she's super awesome, works a lot on the mindset side with female athletes and their moms. But Breanne, for people who are new to you, why don't you just give what you're currently up to right now?
Yeah, I'm excited and happy to be back. I am a sports performance coach for female athletes. And what's great about what I do, and our business is actually with my sister-in-law, Kristina. So if you see, Kristina, Breanne, together, we both have an amazing partnership and get to serve female athletes, but also their moms. So we made a change in our business, about 6 months ago that really just made a really impactful change in how female athletes are showing up. And that was to also work with their moms, because we know how important moms are in the confidence of their athletes. So right now we have programs, mentorship opportunities, community for not only the athletes, but for their moms that support them.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, just check out all of Brianne's stuff in the caption below. But let's jump in now. And I was really excited to have you on because I've been following you a lot on Instagram, and you're putting out some amazing reels on the mental side of the game, and you're really starting to focus in on how to deal with performance anxiety. And I think I just want to start off with differentiating between just a little pregame nerves and anxiety versus performance anxiety that is extremely crippling and something needs to be done. I think a lot of girls, they'll get a little bit nervous before the game, and then they think something's wrong with them, and they're just like, oh my gosh, I have anxiety. And it's like, wait a minute, don't attach to your label here. It's good to
Mhm.
have nerves because you care, and it's healthy sometimes, especially if you direct that energy on your focus and just pumping yourself up. But when is performance anxiety an issue, and what are some things you notice with girls where it does really cripple them and their performance?
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, because before something big, before anything that is important to athletes, they're going to feel nerves. They're going to feel that, like, those butterflies, the racing heart, like that's a normal physiological response that our body is providing for us as a way to prepare us for what we're about to do. And so we first of all teach athletes right out the gate that if you're feeling nervous, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that's bad. That means that your body is telling you that this matters, and your body's response is actually preparing you for battle and preparing you to do what you're about to go out to do. And we try and reframe that language from nervous, scared, to excited and ready, and that it doesn't necessarily mean run away. And it can also mean we're ready to go. But where the line, we especially see this in athletes who don't have that mindset at all, where that line starts to get crossed to performance anxiety, is when athletes are, physically incapable of doing what they would normally do in practice. And, so in practice, they might be able to perform a very basic skill like serving, if we're talking volleyball, like serving over the net, or passing to a teammate, or, shooting a goal when they're wide open. And then when they get into the game situation, or even before, they are so dysregulated that they can't perform those basic things. And that's where we kind of do label it as this is performance anxiety, that is really interfering with the athlete's ability to do something that they routinely would do in any other situation.
That's such a good point. And it just seems like people where it does cripple them, it's like the most basic, like second nature skills of their sport. They're just
Mhm.
consistently messing those up. So that's definitely a good sign to look out for. How about like other signs like energy, or maybe like sleep going down, like anything else to look out for?
Yeah. Yeah. So if we're talking like wide, like big scale, performance anxiety, the night before games. An athlete, you might see your athlete getting really nervous, really worked up to the point where she can't sleep, or she might be complaining that her stomach is upset and she's like having these, GI issues because she's like just working herself, mentally she's thinking about what's going to happen, and that's causing a physical response. And so, she can't sleep, she's, having stomach issues. And then that morning of, you'll see that those typical signs of anxiety too, like low appetite or not wanting to eat at all. And then that just kind of exacerbates things because now the athlete's not fueled properly, and she, is lacking in that area too, and is not going to show up her best. And so like low appetite, lack of sleep, energy wise, she's feeling, when we say like on a scale of 1 to 10, her hype numbers, what we call it, she's probably hovering right around that like 8, 9. She's just kind of like wired, but it's almost too much. And so that's where, typical things where our body is regulated, where she would just be able to do as a regulated athlete. She's operating at this high level. And so she's just can't perform like she would normally do. So.
Now, what are some of the causes of this type of anxiety? Is it the girl herself being in her own head, or are there other things in the environment that can cause it? Let's get into that.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. So that, and it could be variety. You just have to kind of start troubleshooting with your daughter. So one could be, and this is what we typically, there's always a fear. Basically, it's a fear of something, a fear that's the underlying reason. And so this could be a fear of making a mistake, of letting people down. And typically that's tied to her feelings of confidence and self-worth. So she's attaching her outcomes out there to how she feels about herself. And so this fear of, if I don't perform how I should, or I don't, whatever the should is, if we can see it in these high level performing, athletes who are just very successful because they're expecting, to do that and continue to perform at this high level. And so they're feeling like if they don't, they're letting themselves down, they're letting their teammates down, their parents down, their coaches down. And so there's always this underlying fear of failure and then what's going to happen afterwards. We know that parents play a big role in this too. And that's kind of what we've been really educating our parents on in our communities, is what your role is in your athlete daughter's preparation and in her sport in general. And so a lot of times parents intentionally and unintentionally attach their own deep needs, desires, feelings of worthiness to their daughter's performance. And so they're, consciously or subconsciously, a lot of times living through their daughters, feeling like they need their daughters to perform at a certain level so that they feel okay about themselves, so that they're, in line with what they're expecting for their daughters. And these are really, it's communicated to daughters in, they pick up on everything. And so whether this is said out loud, like, hey, make sure you got to score 15 points like you did last time, or this is a really big team, make sure that you do this and this and this. Or even sometimes, and this is out of our control, but parents who have played the sport before or know more about the sport, we find that athletes report that they feel a ton of pressure from those parents, because they're like, my mom knows about what about this sport, and she's going to be like thinking things, critiquing me, things like that. So athletes pick up on the environment that their parents create. And so there's kind of subtle things, and then there's like the overt things, like, parents that are in the stands and yelling and, criticizing, and daughters who scan the stands and see their parents there and that look of disappointment. There's kind of a lot there, but parents, we have a big opportunity in front of us to help our daughters in this area.
This is why I love the work that you do, because you include the moms into the conversation. And oftentimes, the parents will rely on the mental coach or the speed coach to help them with their confidence or their anxiety and improving that. But at the end of the day, it's also what's happening when they're not around that coach. And it's interesting because this is a very odd example and analogy, but I compare it to someone who says, well, I do this drug, but it's okay because I eat healthy. And it's like, no, wait a minute. Like, you're still polluting yourself over here.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing. It's like the parents could be polluting that daughter's mind still, even though she's getting this like healthy coaching from a mentor.
Mhm.
So that awareness around that, and that is so important for the moms to be included. Now, what
Mhm.
types of conversations are you having with the moms on just navigating this and just being there to support their daughter through crippling performance anxiety?
Right. You know, we talk about how there's ways that moms can shape the environment in different phases of an athlete's um training. So we talk specifically, we actually break it down. Like there's the training phase, and the training phase is like when your daughter is just day to day competing. She's going to practice, she's competing. There's things that moms can say and do to help support an athlete in that phase. And then there's the pre-competition phase, like basically before she's going to go out and start competing. And then there's the during, like what should you be doing and saying as she is physically out there in her sport. And then there's the after, like the car ride home. And so we kind of break it up into these 4 phases. And to not like go too in depth in it, but like basic guidance that we give in that training phase is to, first of all, moms, we have to look at what we are saying, thinking, and doing ourselves. Because a lot of times we do provide our daughters with all the opportunities. We provide them as we should with the physical training, the mental training, the speed work, the skill work, and those are great. And then we tell them like, you're great, blah, 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 like all these like compliments and praises. And there's a place for that. But what our daughters are going to pick up on is what we are saying as moms to ourselves and about ourselves. It's kind of the like, say as I do as I say, not as I do. Like that doesn't work. And so if we're telling our daughters, like, be confident out there, and then we're saying to ourselves, like, I hate the way that my butt looks in these pants, and like, I'm just so out of shape and I am gross. Our daughters pick up on that. And those words become their inner voice. And so it's just really important that, we're talking more about like confidence wise, but confidence produces, confidence in that training phase is what's going to help that athlete show up confidently in their game. And so we are like kind of front loading and providing this great environment so that athletes don't have to handle that like performance anxiety as it comes. So everything we do in that environment is super, super important. So we tell moms just to be very aware of what they're saying out loud and, to themselves. And then, that before their game time, what they're saying is like so key. So we actually tell moms, we equip them with like their own pregame routine. So athletes have their pregame routine, right? Like they have, I'm going to listen to this song and I'm going to do this visualization, blah, blah, blah. And then we're like, okay, moms, here's your pregame routine. And like, they literally they write it out. Like, first I'm going to like, and it's all unique to their like we say, you and your daughter have a special connection to what it is. And so some moms are like, first I'm going to, give her a little pregame snack. It's always this snack. And then I'm going to give her a hug and just tell her like, I love you. You got this. And it's just those 3 things. And I'm going to do that every single time because our daughters need their own pregame routine so that they feel focused in the flow and that's a sense of normalcy. And then they need that from their moms too. Because if moms are like, oh, I'm so nervous and like this game, you're projecting that onto your daughter. And like, she already has enough to think about. And so we tell moms, like, just rein it in. You do these 3 things, focus on what's in her control and do it every time. During competition though, moms, like you need to ask, like, what does your daughter need from you? And so many moms skip this step and they're coaching from the sidelines and they're saying things, they're, rolling their eyes and their daughter makes a mistake. And it's just like this toxic environment for her. Like, there's no wonder she doesn't want to go out there and compete based on like what you're doing there. And so we tell moms, like, ask your daughter, what does she want from you? And then after in that car ride home, the big driver here is let her lead. And a lot of moms, and I'm included in this, want to fix things, want to know how it went, want to like make it all better if she didn't play well. And our daughters just need a space to feel what they're feeling, to come to you if they want to, and just be like, who her sport is what she does. It's not who she is. And so she doesn't want like a questioning. She doesn't want critique. She just wants to like be in the car with you, go get something to eat and just process what happened. So
I
yeah.
like that pregame routine for moms. That's so awesome. And I'm actually having flashbacks to when I played college, and all the moms and the dads as well. They tailgated before our games. Like they grilled in the parking lot. They were playing music, having fun, and like as we're walking out, we see that very fun, like everyone's laughing, and just a cool environment amongst the parents. And then that reflected onto us. Oh, cool. Like we're going to go out and
Yeah.
have fun and play. And I just think that's so awesome. Like I love that. I've never heard of that. So moms, pregame routine.
Yeah, what's yours? Like, we got to keep them focused. And seriously, when I say reined in, I'm like, oh, what are you telling your daughter? Or like, and moms, I get it. Like, they get so nervous too. Like, oh yeah. And then it's like, okay, we just got to calm you down as well. So let's go back to your routine. And so, yeah.
And that's a win-win too. It's a
Mhm.
win for the daughter because she's feeling relaxed. And it's also a win for the mom because the mom's feeling relaxed. It's like,
Yeah.
why would you want to stress yourself out? It's a high school game, it's a club game. Like, why are we getting worked up on this? So it's a win-win for literally everyone involved. And how important is all this for just the bond between mother and daughter, because that's another thing that's not talked about with sports parenting.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. It's a game changer. Athletes and the moms that come through our program are like, they report that they feel so much closer with their daughter because now like their daughters have a space. I mean, we encourage communication too. And part of the training that we give our moms is like, ask your daughter, like, what does she need from you? And sometimes we just guess. And so just like allowing space for moms and daughters to talk about these things, and for daughters to say like, hey, it's really not helpful when you say this, or like, it's not whatever. And it just opens those doors. And now daughters are feeling supported. Moms feel like they have a purpose. They like have more of a focus on what they can be doing. So they feel more like confident and relaxed. And so we're just setting up this good environment. And of course, performance anxiety, like there's a lot of different factors in it, but like, let's first dive in on this huge one, you as a mom, and like how you can support her. And then we can provide tools for the daughter so that she can help, navigate that performance anxiety as well. So there's always like, it's always multifaceted, but the mom and the dad as well, although we talk mostly to moms, like dads are super important too. And, the parent plays a big role in that.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to ask, because I know you mainly focus on working with moms, but would everything we just talk about apply to dads pretty much?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, we zone in on moms just because we know that that's a really special relationship. And daughters, research shows that daughters' confidence, a lot of it comes from her mom, and so that's why we really zone in on that relationship. But absolutely, all of this applies to dads too, as far as like having a pregame routine and like making sure what dads are saying is productive and helpful before a game and during the game. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really interesting in research, that the confidence comes from observing the mom. And I guess, moms, if you're listening, just really ask yourself, are you being the person, the woman you want your daughter to be?
Yeah.
And not everyone's perfect, but are you really trying to improve and work on yourself as well? Because it's a journey for all of us. It's a lifelong journey. So really ask yourself that question deeply. Now, Breanne, I definitely want to give the listeners your programs and just a brief explanation. Again, guys, everything's in the caption. But Breanne, what's the main program you have going on right now?
So right now we have the Elite Competitor Program going on. At the time of this recording, we'll be heading into another cohort. So it'll run April 3rd through May 29th. And so we're just gearing up for that. We're wrapping up our first cohort of the year. And this is our signature 8-week program that helps build mental skills for female athletes. And so daughters are going through, like the athlete is going through the program. She's learning module by module how to build her mental game, how to increase her confidence on the court, but obviously this in the field, and this translates well beyond that. And then as the athletes are going through, moms are also getting support. So all the moms of the daughters who are going through go into a little community with Christina and I, and we support the moms, and we give them special trainings on, how you can best support your daughter during those 4 phases of her game. We check in with how she's doing with the modules. It's just an amazing support for the moms, and they also like talk to each other and are like, hey, how do you deal with this and that? So that is our program, the Elite Competitor program that's going on right now.
Awesome. So guys, definitely check that out. I mean, there's some huge transformations happening in this program. It's super high level. So definitely get in on that. I also included Breanne's Facebook group as well as Instagram. So be sure to check those out as well. But Breanne, thanks again for the conversation, and we'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Thank you.